bills.
We are clear on the Skywatch storm tracker. It'll remain that way for the next few days, but the heat's on the way and then relief's on the way. All of that from the Skywatch Weather Center.
And thinking of flying soon? Details on the latest airline price drop.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Residents in Miami, Oklahoma are noticing extra charges on their utility bills. This is KOAM News at Noon. I'm Tanya Bach. Topping our first 7 minutes, the Grand River Dam Authority imposes new rates and charges on the city of Miami's utilities. The city combines each customer's water, electricity, and other utilities on one bill. City officials say they are updating the bill format to make it more transparent, and residents will see specific charges. Now, one specifically, a power cost adjustment from the GRDA.
The city of Miami has not had a rate increase for city electric or city water, and some of the charges that our citizens are seeing are being passed down from GRDA. That includes the purchase power adjustment as well as the PCAX charge that they see.
Now, during the peak of demand for natural gas, GRDA raised its natural gas prices by more than 200%. Well, the heat is making it hard for folks to keep their grass healthy. Twin Hills Golf Course in Joplin is prepared and already had a plan ready for the heat. The general manager of the golf club says their superintendent takes good care of the golf course, especially the greens, which are the most important parts for the golfers. If there was a lot of rain with the extreme heat, it could actually be worse than a lack of rain. However, it's still costly to water often.
This time of the year when we get no help from Mother Nature, we have to help it ourselves. So we have irrigation lakes that we pump out of. It does cost us a little bit more in the summer to fill those lakes up with electricity, water. We hope that Mother Nature gives at least some water in our irrigation lakes.
Allen says even though it's more expensive to water the courses by themselves instead of with the help of rain, it gives them better control on how the course will look. Well, the temps are starting to warm up again, just in time for the weekend. Chris Warner joins us with the first look at the weekends.
Unfortunately, the weekend is going to be a bit on the toasty side. Right now on the Skywatch Storm Tracker, there's nothing to show you except some few clouds out in central Missouri, and that's really about it. We are watching the drought situation still, and as you can see, there's some good news. While we still have extreme drought for those in red, you're seeing severe drought conditions starting to reappear a little bit more, and the extreme drought starting to go away. That's thanks in part to the rain that we have received, and we have more rain on the way. All of us right now are in the 80s, and temperatures will continue to climb. We've got 88 Yates Center, 89 in Chanute and Parsons, 86 Oswego, 85 in Joplin and Carthage, 83 Neosho, so a pretty toasty start to the day. Now the good news is there's not a significant heat index, and that should remain the trend over the next few days as temperatures go up. The humidity and dew point levels won't be so high, so heat index values won't be excessive, but they're still up there. So in a few places we're a degree or two above where the actual temperature is. Some places we're maybe even just a degree or two below, so that's a nice thing. As we go through the rest of the night though, temperatures will warm up into the mid-90s, upper 90s for some of us, and they'll eventually cool down to 80 by 10 o'clock, 77 by midnight, but we are heading for a nice evening. Lows in the upper 60s and lower 70s. We'll take a look at the weekend forecast and some rain chances that are on the way here in just a few minutes.
That sounds good. Rain chances.
Yes, it does.
Thanks, Chris. Well, Americans reeling from sky-high prices get good news this week. The government's latest inflation report showed prices came down for used cars and trucks, apparel, and especially airline tickets. Chris Van Cleve has more on the latest airline price drop from Raleigh-Durham International Airport.
Falling fares down nearly 8% in July.
I feel like it went up, but now it's going back to like normal prices.
I know how high they can be, so when I find a reasonable flight, I jump on it immediately.
Some big savings on flights to San Diego, now $230 cheaper on average than the May peak. Hawaii is down $154. Even flights to Prague could cost you about $300 less.
Prices about a month ago were ridiculously high.
To find a deal, Renanda Young and her mom took a ridiculous detour, driving more than 100 miles to save nearly $400. They flew from Eugene, Oregon to Burbank, California instead of Portland to Los Angeles. It still cost her double from last year.
They were close to reasonable. At that time, they were $400 for the two of us for round trip, just over.
Airline ticket prices peaked in May as pent-up pandemic demand filled planes and fuel prices soared.
What's the sweet spot if you're looking for a deal?
If you're looking for a deal on airfare, now is the sweet spot.
Haley Berg tracks airfare for travel site Hopper. She says right now, round-trip domestic tickets for September and October will cost travelers on average $238, down roughly 37% from May. But she expects they will again top $300 by November and rise steadily as people book for the holidays.
Though prices have fallen from the peak earlier this summer, well over $400, they are still relatively high. Prices will probably drop a little bit between now and the middle of October. You will want to book your holiday travel by that second week of October.
Renata Young is already bargain hunting for her next getaway.
With the prices coming down on airline tickets, I'm actually anticipating us traveling some more in the next year than what I had initially planned for our travel budget.
Hopper expects holiday fares to stay below that peak we saw in May, but still are likely to be higher than what you paid to go home for the holidays back in 2019. Best bets for finding a deal: shop early and shop around. Be flexible with your travel dates and times. And even as you saw in the story there, what airport you fly out of can save you big. Chris Van Cleve, CBS News, Raleigh, North Carolina.
That's a look at today's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Up next on KOAM News at noon, a bank robber quickly becomes a folk hero in Lebanon after demanding access to his own money to pay his father's hospital bill. And later, we're making lemon refrigerator bites in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen. Dramatic video shows a man in Lebanon taking matters into his own hands after his bank refused him access to his savings. As CBS's Ian Lee reports, the standoff reflects the anger and desperation of many in that nation.
Armed with a gun and determination, this video shows Bassem Hussein holding up a bank in Lebanon demanding money, his own money. Hussein needed the cash from his more than $200,000 in savings to pay his father's hospital bills. Security forces quickly locked down the area, but Hussein's anger is felt by many in the country. Crowds quickly gathered to support this unlikely folk hero. He came to demand his rights, and this experience proves that rights in this country have to be taken by force, says this man. Lebanon's economy is in crisis. Roughly 75% of the population lives in poverty. A third of the country is unemployed. Banks are only allowing access to a few $100s a week to prevent mass withdrawal. The bankers stole our money and live in their palaces while we beg at the doors of hospitals and pharmacies, says this man. Thursday's standoff ended peacefully. The bank gave Hussein $30,000. He left waving to the crowd before later being taken into custody. Ian Lee, CBS News.
Well, banking officials in Lebanon now worry that the continuing economic crisis could lead to copycat holdups. Still to come on the KOAM News at noon, Mr. Food.
A summer dessert that'll satisfy your sweet tooth without weighing you down? Sounds impossible, but it's not.
But first, Chris Warner returns with your complete forecast.
Temperatures are warming up across the area rapidly as we head for a pretty toasty day, but not as toasty as it's about to get. Skywatch Storm Tracker is high and dry right now. Only a few clouds out in eastern Missouri to talk about, and it's going to stay that way for a little while. Now, back in Joplin from our 7th and Rangeline camera, we've actually been watching this fire here, which just a few minutes ago was considerably larger in size. There was a large plume of smoke coming off of this thing. We do know that Carl Junction fire crews are responding, and of course, we have a crew on the way, and we'll have the latest on our website at KOAMnewsnow.com. Current conditions, though, right now in Joplin at 7th and Rangeline, looking pretty decent. 85 degrees with a light south-southeast breeze. Minor heat index feels like 86, which is a good thing. Across the area, the same situation. You can see we're starting to push the upper 90s now in southeast Kansas, while the rest of us are sitting around the mid to lower 80s this afternoon. The dew point is out there, but it's not playing as significant a role in heat index values. So when you factor in these dew points, you can see temperatures actually aren't that far off of what the current one is. And that's a good thing. We'll take that. It may be hot, but at least it's not swelteringly hot. As we go through the rest of the evening, we will eventually reach the mid-90s. Parts of southeast Kansas may reach the upper 90s for highs. Cool off to 93 by 6, 87 by 8, 81 at 10, and 77 by midnight. All of us heading for overnight lows in roughly the upper 60s to lower 70s. So another good night to open the windows and let the air in and get the, this, what's the word I'm looking for? The stale air out of your house. Let it circulate a little bit. Temperatures will drop off, and then you can see by tomorrow we're pushing highs around 100 degrees under clear skies, maybe some passing clouds. So the future track, it may look a little broken until you see a few stray clouds work in. As you can see, as we go through this evening, maybe some passing clouds. Outside of that, no precipitation or anything to talk about. And even on a slightly longer range look, you see a lot of the clouds really staying to our east. We get a few of those passing clouds as we head into tomorrow, but they don't stop the temperatures, that's for sure. It will still continue to heat up. In fact, in Joplin, temperatures will warm up quite nicely. We're looking at afternoon highs again close to 100 degrees with a light south breeze and partly cloudy to mostly clear skies throughout the region. And it's going to stay that way. So let's talk about the weekend in detail. We're looking at a good high of about 100 degrees with partly cloudy skies. 101 on Sunday under partly cloudy skies again. So sunny, hot, few of those passing clouds, but it is great pool weather. Just make sure you take the sunscreen with you. Don't get burned like I did, because that was unpleasant. You may recall when I was scratching my back on everything the studio had to offer, and then Tanya had to do it. So just take the sunscreen with you. It's never a good thing. We deal with the triple digits over the next couple of days, all the way into Monday, and then you see we have a system coming in Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Not only does it bring us much needed rain chances, because we still need some rain to help with that drought, but it also brings temperatures down to the upper 80s for highs. Then we have a slight rebound on Thursday, and if we look at the long range right now, what we're seeing, another system on Friday with rain. Check out that high for mid-August, 78 degrees. We may not even make it into the 80s on Friday with this next system. And then by next weekend, it doesn't do a rapid return on temperatures either. So highs only pushing into the 80s by next weekend. Hopefully this pattern holds, because that's not bad considering that it's August. If we get through the next 2 or 3 days of triple digits, it's not going to be so bad after that. So let's just muster through. We mustered through July. We made it. I think we can make it through 3 days.
For many communities, this is the last big hurrah for going to the pool anyway before school starts up. So
yeah, so this weekend is the
pool
perfect
weather.
Opportunity to do it. Yeah.
Just don't forget the sunblock.
No. Do not forget the sunblock. You do not want to be burned. And of course, there's other health concerns that go along with that as well, beyond just an itchy back. So always take the sunscreen if you're going to be outdoors, and even if you're not at the pool. If you're going to be outdoors for a long time, take the sunscreen.
Yeah, wear light-colored, loose clothing. You know, there's ways to protect yourself.
Exactly.
All right, thanks, Chris. We take this time to honor today's four-state hero. First Sergeant William Gash in the U.S. Army. The Pittsburgh native served in Salzburg, Austria, Berlin, and in Germany from 1943 to 1945. Gash worked as a cook in the Army's engineering unit. To Sergeant William Gash, we thank you, our four-state hero. Looking for a refreshing dessert that'll make the idea of summer stick around? Today, Howard shows us how to make lemon refrigerator bites in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen.
A summer dessert that'll satisfy your sweet tooth without weighing you down? Sounds impossible. Well, it's not. The dessert we're sharing today is refreshing and light, yet still tastes decadent. It's a cross somewhere between lemon bars and the creamiest cheesecake you've ever had. Oh, and the best part? There's no baking required. We start by combining some graham cracker crumbs, a bit of sugar, and some melted butter. Once that's mixed well, we pat it into our baking dish to create a crust. We'll put this in the fridge for a bit to firm up while we make our filling. And for that, all we do is beat together some cream cheese with sweetened condensed milk, until it's smooth. Then we add in some lemon juice and some lemon zest. And to make this nice and light, we fold in some whipped topping. Now we spoon this over our crust. And here's a little tip. Gently shake the pan to help level it off before popping it back in the fridge to chill. Right before serving, top it with a bit more lemon zest and a few berries, and you're good to go. One bite, and you'll know why I think this might be summer's ultimate dessert. To get the recipe for our lemon refrigerator bites, all you need to do is visit our website. This way you'll be ready no matter who stops by this summer. And if you never reveal where you got the recipe, that's okay. It'll be our little secret. I'm Howard in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen, where today we found a lemony cool way for you to say, ooh, it's so good.
Lemon, one of my #1 flavors. You can find this recipe along with a lot more good food from the Mr. Food Test Kitchen online. Just go to our website at koamnewsnow.com. Here's a look at our 4 state market prices.
Taking a look at that 7-day forecast, you can see we heat up through the rest of the weekend. Then a storm system comes in, brings us rain and cooler temperatures by Tuesday and Wednesday.
Well, the Webb City 12 and under baseball team is just 1 win away from a trip to the Little League World Series. Now, Webb City is on the field right now facing Davenport, Iowa in the Midwest Regional Championship game in Indianapolis. The score you see is 3-0. We just watched the last 2 runs.
Yeah, we did. They had the bases loaded, and they got themselves some good runs in there. So 3-0 Webb City. And, of course, we'll have more from this game, including some highlights and everything else tonight on the KOAM News at 6. Also, a quick update on that fire that we were talking about. We've learned it was some discarded tires, but we're not sure exactly what started that fire. So,
and as you can see, it's out.
Yeah,
from a distance.
Carl Junction Fire got there. They got it under control. So.
All right, well, coming up tonight at 5, it's been nearly a decade since a breakthrough treatment for hepatitis C became available. But a new CDC report shows less than 1 in 3 people with health insurance are getting the highly effective antiviral treatment. We investigate in Health Watch. Plus, today is the 30th anniversary of a Joplin missing person case of Tracy Pickett. And community members come together in McDonald County to make sure each kid has a backpack and supplies for the new school year. Join us for those stories and much more tonight on the KOAM News at 5.
And we thank you for joining us here for the KOAM News at noon.
We'll see you right back here at 5 o'clock.